Hello, daily video number X. So I just had a quick half-hour call with new startup Pareed, blockchain solution to peer review. Very interesting and something I put some thought into in the past myself with some friends, because peer review process is well known to be broken and has lots of flaws and issues with it. And the blockchain does provide a completely valid potential solution to it. A transparent process of peer review is essential to the high good functioning of science. So designing a good blockchain-based solution to peer review is probably going to be really bloody hard, but worth working on. So yeah, really happy to be helping with that as much as I can. I'm going to have another talk with them in a couple of weeks, I think, and try and introduce them to a few people, do whatever I can to help. This article's still going. So what I need to do today is add a few more projects to my list, but this is becoming very, very complicated now. So our news reached out to me over Twitter to be added, and I'm like, even Muzzle is like walking this fine line now. It's getting really hard to know whether to include them or not. So on one hand, our news is a crowdsourced effort to identify, whether news should be trusted or not. That's very much in line with, what my list is putting together. Different projects that are doing precisely that. However, they're doing that on a website which people have to come to and make up their own minds, which is basically, it's just they're crowdsourcing the editorial process rather than using an expert editor. But at the end of the day, it's still their website, and even then they're only linking to external things, so they're just rating other people's content. But all they need to do for me definitely worth putting on the list is convert the output of this into a browser plugin, and then it's like, hey, it's a platform now, anyone can vote, and then it goes, anyone has the plugin installed gets it. You have to go to the website, which seems like an arbitrary distinction. So I should include them, but I keep going back to that thought. It's like, but then every news outlet that has a system for deciding, Fox News has a process for fighting fake news, which is editors and journalists supposedly applying their trade. It's just that the conclusions that they reach in their process I disagree with. This is fundamentally my frustration with all of these efforts. It's just that now that I'm getting to the sort of periphery of different projects that are not so clearly working on trying to have the objective answer for everyone, like the Disinformation Index is trying to create a rating system that everyone can refer to, that transcends editorial processes. Like their mission is really greater than just one website or one community. And so, like, for me, that's like really clear. Same with like FactMata. But the fact is that it's just a scale. It's just a gradient. And now I'm getting to the edges of that gradient, of that scale, and I don't know. It's going really hard. Particularly if this list has any sort of traffic value. People that start researching this will inevitably find my list and go, okay, then here's all the projects. And so being included on it is important, to the companies so that there's value to our news, because they will be mentioned and people will see them equally listed alongside other projects that are more universally associated with this this problem and trying to solve it. And so I don't want to exclude anyone, but I don't want the list to blow out, where it's just everything that's vaguely related to trying to be accurate in news reporting is included. It's like I need to make the list reflect that gradient somehow. And this is where it goes to converting it to some sort of a system like Wikidata, where everyone can enter their own projects, and then there's just some sort of criteria, a tagging system or categorization system that allows us to define certain variables and rank them. Maybe more useful, but then it's still its own process. So I putting thought into this so that I could help solve, understand the perspective of it all. Hopefully it's going to help me communicate why I have issues with all of these problems. I have an issue with all these attempts at solving it this way. Because like I just explained, even though you're crowdsourcing a rating of the news, who can decide what's true or not, the distinction between that and an editorial process is just the crowdsourcing, and that's fundamentally we're looking at Britannica versus Wikipedia again. And Wikipedia, okay, it's more scalable than Britannica. That's one of the main advantages of the crowd sourcing approach, and it tends to be more timely and more regularly updated. But in the news process, Jimmy Wales is already working on, and that reminds me, it's another one that could be included is Wiki Tribune, and that's being pitched as another way of solving the fake news problem by having a crowd-sourced kind of, like it's done by journalists, but there's a crowd element in evaluating the news process to help create news that everyone can trust, and that makes good sense, but it will work as well, hopefully, as Wikipedia, which is it will work and it has value, and it's probably better than most media outlets for objectivity, but it's not going to make everyone agree by any measure, just as Wikipedia has not led to everyone agreeing on all the conclusions Wikipedia reaches. So it doesn't solve the problem, because people will still have different beliefs and different perspectives, and will use those beliefs and perspectives to dismiss and to form opinions about the system itself, and thus undermine the credibility of the system. And I mean, I feel like every time I say this sort of thing, it's easy to go, oh, but when we do this process, we're not expecting everyone to just agree with us. Right. But when you do that process, the people that disagree with you end up taking a position where your system is untrustworthy, and that becomes reinforced the more times they encounter things they disagree with, and that becomes the problem. It's not that you can't change everyone's mind straight away. It's that over the time, instead of changing their minds, you're just cementing their minds that your system sucks. And that's the problem. So yeah, that's a fundamental thing there. So I've got to add them anyway, figure out how to add them. Bitcoin, and just being really boring and shit. Like, some upward trend would have been nice, but I think we're getting a brilliant little flag there, which is either a bear continuation, like it's symmetrical, so it's probably bear continuation. Trend is your friend and all that, which sucks. I was really hoping for a little bit of a bounce. It might still happen, like it could go either way, but probabilistically it'll probably go down, and I really want it to go up. I'm trying to do some analysis of Bitcoin, which days of the week are slightly better and worse, which probably not very meaningful. Curious to have a look at it. I want to do another one for days of the year, so see if there's any annual cycles that are, because like it seemed like last year, just before Christmas, it crashed, and apparently that's happened the last 3 years. Similarly, in January, the Chinese New Year, it apparently will crash in the lead up to that as well, or at least go down. I don't know if there's much to that, so I thought I'll do an annual cycle thing, which I'm halfway through putting together. We could still haven't done anything on this. I've got to finish that, but it's not going to be a priority today either. That's just stuff. Oh, that's the peer review research that I did last year for Sitecoin, which I'm talking to Pareed about. Now, that's pretty much it. So today I need to add those articles. I really need to finish my last article or something. I've got to start publishing these stories that I'm half writing, and then I've got to get on to the launch. Now, I didn't do a video yesterday. It was Sunday, and yeah, just sort of had Leonardo all day. I'm not sure if I did one on Saturday either. Carmen's arrived on Friday, we've talked about, and so she's around and we're doing stuff with her, and it's hectic and there's a lot happening, as always. So that's it for today. Thought I had something random to talk about, but I can talk about that anytime probably. Right now I need to get on with work. So that's it for today. Bye.